In this video, I'm going to talk to you about how to be alone without being lonely. For the lone wolves out there, if you're ever going to really embrace this lifestyle, it means you're going to have to be okay with being alone. You can't be on the search for another lone wolf because that defeats the lone wolf purpose. That just tells yourself that you're not a lone wolf and you'd rather be a part of the pack. And that's what will happen when the loneliness gets to be too much. It's one thing for me to tell you how to do this, but it's another for you to even want to do this. It's not for everyone. Some of you may have a huge aversion to wanting to be alone. And so instead you find ways to not be alone. So this video is about how to meet yourself. Because when you are with yourself, you're never really alone. For someone who knows how to be alone and not lonely, it's second nature. And if it's not a natural thing for you, but it's something you've always wanted to learn, then I commend you because there's a lot of personal and spiritual growth opportunities that are available for you here. I'm going to share with you 5 things in my own experience of spending time alone and how to be alone without being lonely that captivate my mental, emotional, as well as what's going on with me behaviorally and spiritually that allows me to be able to enjoy my own company as much as I do without feeling lonely about it. And so that's number 1, being able to enjoy your own company. You have to be someone that you like to spend time with, because if you are pitying yourself while you're alone, you'll feel very lonely. I guess it's kind of like networking, but instead of with other people, it's within your own psyche. But just like networking, you have to go out into the world. So this being alone thing isn't being alone, shut in at home and hiding away from the world. You have to get out there, do some things alone that most people typically do with someone else. Things like going out to eat in a restaurant by yourself, attending concerts and music events, going to the movies alone, traveling, maybe even joining a sailing club, tennis club, trivia club, but you don't join with someone else. You join as a single person and you leave as a single person alone. Have I joined any clubs? Not really. But I have thought about joining a sailing club because they have a nice pool there that I could lounge at and I could be in a social setting without having to socialize and just be there. And who knows, maybe I would have some one-off conversations with people and maybe even learn how to sail. Being out there in the world where other people are that you might intermingle with is how you build your own sense of self in the world, a sense of self that is confident by itself and doesn't need to always be joined at the hip with someone else as you do it. Now, some of you might be doing the ultimate alone thing, living alone, sleeping alone. Whether you've always lived a mostly single life or you're new to no longer being paired with someone. That can feel liberating at first, and then you wonder when you'll find another person to pair up with, versus coming to terms with possibly never being in a relationship again. And this depends on you being content with who you are, regardless of whether or not you have a +1. The second factor is something called interdependence. What this means is that you have your own life. And if other people want to join you from time to time, you have the freedom of choice. Interdependence is what's in the middle of that hyper-independence and codependence. This is a healthy stasis of being alone and still being a functioning, productive person in society. Interdependence. This highlights the interconnectedness of all humans. Your well-being, your actions are intertwined with the well-being and interactions of others. Whether this is something you realize happens directly or indirectly, consciously or unconsciously, just because I choose to spend more time alone doesn't mean I am disconnected from society. And if you start to feel that way, then that's when the loneliness creeps in. Being alone, but having a sense of all oneness and interconnectedness is an important mentality and appreciation to adopt. Some of you might work from home, but you work for a company. You have your autonomy while there's also the interaction with an organization. But then there's another level of working from home, and that's working for yourself, having your own business. That's the ultimate autonomous expression of your need to earn money. And for a lone wolf like me, being a solopreneur, has been where I've been the most successful, most happy, content, and emotionally stable. No team, no contractors, no assistants, at least not anymore. It's just me. And although in the earlier years, I hired many a professional during my transition from working for the man to working for myself, I have been carefully tuning into my needs along the way as to how I best operate, get my work done. Meanwhile, I get to interact with some pretty amazing people that I have the pleasure to coach. So there's the interdependence, the interconnectedness that keeps me grounded. Without any people to interact with and discuss personal growth and development with, I'd be out of touch with the work I was doing. If I only produced videos, but then never got to interact with the people who watched my videos, that would definitely cue the loneliness factor. So working for myself has been something that's allowed me to get to know myself better, set boundaries for myself, and setting boundaries has increased my self-confidence even more because I'm also my own best friend. Now, this sort of goes along with number one, enjoying your own company when you're out there in the world doing things. Meanwhile, being your own best friend is what helps to keep the loneliness at bay because it's that voice of reassurance, compassion, that voice of love that speaks to me in those moments that are presenting me with any sort of challenge and adversity. I have this voice in my head that talks to me all day long, and that voice is my friend. The way I speak to myself, support myself, encourage myself, be kind and gentle to myself is what is the most helpful thing ever. So there's always me. And because I'm always with myself, I'm never really alone. This is the mentality. I check in with myself. Do I want to spend time out there in the world and take ourselves out to do things? Or do we need to lay low and stay home? If you can have this sense of we within yourself, I find this helps. It's me, myself, and I. It's a sense of caring for myself, tuning into myself, asking myself, what do I need to do today? What do I feel like doing? What do I want to do? And then taking myself to do those things. I also journal with myself. I sit with my paper journal or I type on my laptop what's going on in my mental space and I talk about my emotional and physical self. I receive a level of intellectual stimulation in this way as well, as I challenge myself in my own beliefs and thoughts and identify gaps in my thinking that need to be further explored. I talk about my plans and my intentions, and sometimes I might just get up mid-sentence and carry on with what it is that I needed to do. The third thing is being a minimalist. And this doesn't just come down to your personal belongings. It comes down to your people. If you're already spending most of your time alone, you've already come to a point in your life where you don't have a lot of friends or family. And that's for a reason. Either you prefer to have less people around, or you've had to minimize the people in your life so you can have more energy to show up for yourself. You've had to set some boundaries, and that meant some people no longer had a place in your world anymore. And here's the thing, you're not going out and replacing them either. Just like so many things in your home that you've learned to live without, the same goes for those people. You've come to an understanding that the reason why you want to be alone so much and trying to come to terms with that is because people in general drain your energy. And being alone is the best way for you to maximize your own potential. So you accept this. It's never really been in my nature to be a hoarder or a consumer of products. So as it is, I've always gotten by with less. I don't have a closet full of clothes and shoes. I always do my best to live in the most self-sustaining way. This is how you become part of your own living space, instead of your living space becoming a part of you. In other words, if you're prone to loneliness, then you may end up accumulating unnecessary items just to have them around. And yes, we may have our collections of things that we have on display or we keep in boxes. But overall, if you want to embrace being alone, it also means not having to rely on material items or otherwise to compensate for it. Instead, the people and things that you include in your life are accompaniments. They harmonize with you and bring you peace and a rich sense of openness and wonder. Part of being alone in this minimalistic way is freeing, liberating. It allows you to experience non-attachment. If something comes to you in your life, you assess its value and purpose. Are you adding something to your life to fill a void? Because adding things is not what we're here to do. Adding experiences and lessons and confidence and freedom is. And the last thing I have to share with you that will help you to learn how to be alone without feeling lonely is to have a connection with your higher self. My alone time is sacred. I've learned that I can tune into an energy that's bigger than myself. I can sense the world in a global way that has me understanding the big picture of this life, and that no one is really alone. I understand that some people who are never alone are the ones who feel the most alone. I understand that aloneness is a perspective that can only be honored from a higher place. I guess it's my intuition that's always there with me as well. That's part of the other voice that I hear. It's that positively wise, loving, guiding voice that carries me gently throughout each day. Some of you know that you've always had that intuitive guidance, but there may have been some years where you haven't been that close to it, or you don't allow it much space to make decisions for you. And instead, you are led by your logical brain. Get things done. Don't slow down. No time to think about why or how you're doing things. Just go, go, go. Survival. Those were the years when I was less alone, but more lonely. So, combining all these elements of learning how to enjoy your own company and taking yourself out in the world, having a sense of interdependence while also living from a minimalistic, non attachment point of view, you really are your own best friend who's guided by that intuitively led, universally connected self that can never be lonely.